My husband, Jonathan John Hawthorne, trying to indulge the Sky Blossom's courtesan's desire for a taste of officialdom, lied and told me the courtesan was on her deathbed and that I should give up my position as deputy general. Yet, I overheard my husband and the courtesan whispering sweet nothings. Lend me the title of deputy general for 7 days, and will the general himself lend himself to me for 7 days too? My husband kissed her thin lips adoringly. Of course, I'll lend you countless 7 days. I took a deep breath and turned to leave. The next day, the general issued a military order in front of everyone at the military camp/barracks, telling me to pack my bags and leave immediately. Everyone looked at me, puzzled, including several senior officers/high-ranking officials in the military camp/barracks. They were waiting to see how I would end this farce. But I didn't cry or make a scene, I didn't even frown. I simply turned and walked away. He didn't know that the date for the exchange of intelligence with the battlefield informant was 7 days away, and the contact only recognized my password. You can leave, but you must leave behind all the informant information you have. This is General's Connections. Furthermore, you are forbidden from stepping into border town again. I lifted my leg to leave, but the courtesan, Monica Moon, stopped me. I looked at her with complicated emotions and then at my husband, Jonathan John Hawthorne. What was her status, her knowledge, her character? How could I trust her with important intelligence? You think so too? Jonathan John Hawthorne nodded without a doubt. Of course, she's my new deputy general, so naturally she needs to have this information. If I really handed over this intelligence, there would indeed be no reason for me to stay in the military camp/barracks. He must have firmly believed that I couldn't bear to leave this place, which was why he treated me so coldly and harshly. It was not surprising that he would think that way. After all, we had been married for 8 years and had not had any children. The entire army/troops was like our child. I had been with him at the southern frontier for 8 years and already valued the army/troops more than my own life. Every day, rain or shine, I would train with the soldiers. I fought on the battlefield and was not inferior to any man. I was a strategist with brilliant tactics. It could be said that Jonathan John Hawthorne owed 70% of his success to me. Last week, he discussed with the officers of the army/troops the possibility of Monica Moon becoming a strategist for the army/troops. The officers were all seasoned veterans. Although they all knew Monica Moon was just a pretty face, no one objected and they all agreed enthusiastically. But I couldn't stand to see such a case of incompetence happening in my army/troops. Regardless of Jonathan John Hawthorne's pride, I openly opposed it. I would never allow anyone to mess around in the military camp/barracks. So this time, Jonathan John Hawthorne dismissed me directly in order to pave the way for his beloved. The officers, not wanting to miss the show, all came to mediate. General Yale, don't get so worked up. You've been working hard in the military camp/barracks for so many years. General Hawthorne is just worried about you and wants to give you a few days off. You should understand his good intentions. Jonathan John Hawthorne was even more confident after hearing these words. That's right. My wife has been with me at the southern frontier for so many years and hasn't enjoyed any blessings. You should return to the interior and rest for a few days. The old veterans all gave their thumbs up. I didn't expect General Hawthorne, who kills without batting an eye on the battlefield, to be so caring towards his wife. General Yale, you are truly blessed. I twitched my lips and gave a perfunctory smile. The truth was not like that at all. Jonathan John Hawthorne and I had an arranged marriage by the Emperor, and there was no love between us. We had no common topics, and our daily communication was limited to major events in the military camp/barracks. But he was also wary of my abilities and tried every means to oppose me in every aspect. But he would also say that as husband and wife, we must always stand by his side in front of outsiders. I had argued with him a lot about this. At this time, he would use his official rank to suppress me. In the military camp/barracks, obedience was a soldier's duty. Those things didn't affect the bigger picture, so I simply didn't bother to argue with him. But today, he was disregarding the bigger picture for the sake of a courtesan. At this, I felt inexplicably melancholy and began to worry about what would happen to the southern frontier if it were handed over to such a person. Suddenly, Monica Moon pushed me hard, and my subordinates helped me to stand firm. Gwen Yale. What are your intentions lingering in the military camp/barracks when you're just an irrelevant person? If you don't leave, I'll have someone arrest you. Monica Moon was already throwing her weight around, yelling and looking at me arrogantly, as if this military camp/barracks was her property. And Jonathan John Hawthorne looked at all this indifferently, no longer saying a word. This was a statement. His silence was an endorsement and support of Monica Moon's behavior. I smiled softly. Okay, since Deputy General Moon wants it, I'll hand it over. I took out a pouch from my sleeve, then removed my token insignia badge, and raised my hand to throw it into the furnace/fireplace. Seeing that I was really going to destroy the token insignia badge, Jonathan John Hawthorne couldn't hold back any longer and stepped forward to hold my hand. This token insignia badge has been with you for so many years, just keep it as a memento, you go. All the officers secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But Monica Moon shouted loudly in dissatisfaction. General! Can't even a deputy general like me make her destroy a token insignia badge? Jonathan John Hawthorne frowned almost imperceptibly, signaling her not to push her luck. This was rare. It seemed that Jonathan John Hawthorne was always thinking about his own escape route. Jonathan John Hawthorne held my hand gently with a gentle expression and said softly, Honey, I'll choose the most elite subordinates to escort you back to the interior. Don't worry about things here. I'll go back to see you in 7 days. He thought I hadn't heard his sweet talk with the courtesan, and he still thought that after 7 days, I would return to the military camp/barracks as he wished, to be his subordinate, to be his wife, as if none of this had ever happened. But this great general of his didn't know that the next date for the exchange of the most important enemy intelligence was 7 days later. And this intelligence was related to the entire situation at the southern frontier. If the exchange was delayed or intercepted, our border would face a huge threat. If it had been before, for the sake of the bigger picture and for his official career, I would have endured it and waited 7 days before coming back to clean up the situation. But this time, I finally saw his true colors. I admit, I was tired. The military camp/barracks and my husband, I didn't want them anymore. The raging flames licked the token insignia badge. I looked at the bright flames, and my heart was at peace. Jonathan John Hawthorne, let's get a divorce/separation. Jonathan John Hawthorne was stunned. What did you say? Everyone was also surprised, but Monica Moon's eyes revealed an uncontrollable joy. You know, our marriage was arranged by the Emperor, right? Therefore, he may have also considered that if it weren't for the Emperor's decree, he would probably publicly welcome Monica into the household and seize my position as his legal wife in order to win his beauty's heart. I looked at him indifferently. I'll naturally talk to the Emperor about that. You don't have to worry about it. Monica Moon couldn't contain her joy. General, she's already said that. What are you waiting for? Jonathan John Hawthorne frowned and hesitated. This is a major matter, allow us to discuss it further. I was surprised. He couldn't wait to give the entire military camp/barracks in Hawthorne Manor to Monica Moon, so why was he not being decisive when I was so proactively giving up my position? I raised my eyebrows. It seems that you don't believe in the Yale family's influence in front of the Emperor? Moreover, I walked forward and whispered in his ear, isn't Miss Moon about to die? Can't you fulfill the girl's last wish? Under my goading and Monica Moon's encouragement, Jonathan John Hawthorne spread out the ink and paper and finally wrote the words divorce/separation. Halfway through writing, he habitually called out, Inkstone. But he realized that I was not standing next to him. He looked at me with a complex expression and said softly in a reminiscent tone. In the past, you were always the one who helped me prepare. Being able to communicate with my wife, the emperor praised me for my great improvement in calligraphy. Yes, at the last banquet, the emperor was amazed by Jonathan John Hawthorne's beautiful handwriting and rewarded him with many good things in public. The calligraphy was also inscribed by the emperor, praising us as a harmonious couple. He knew that I had always cherished that calligraphy. It was also one of our few happy memories. He thought that as long as I remembered the happy moments he had brought me before, I would soften and stay by his side as always. After all, he would use this trick whenever we quarreled and he needed something from me. However, I had clearly heard his conversation with Monica Moon that day. When talking about that calligraphy, he looked disgusted. It's all because of Gwen Yale. I can't relax every time I write, for fear that the emperor will get angry and blame me. I'm a military man, and I hate ink and paper the most. It's all because of her. But fortunately, the Yale family has a lot of power, and she herself is capable. As the general's wife, she can help my career a lot. It's not in vain that I went to the emperor to ask for an arranged marriage back then. How could he know how sad and desolate I felt in my heart after hearing these words? It turned out that there was not only no love between us, but also no mutual respect. There was only hypocrisy and his exploitation of me. No wonder, after he became a general, he used various means to limit my military power and my say in the military camp/barracks. It turned out to be out of fear of me. Jonathan John Hawthorne took my hand and asked what I was thinking. The look in his eyes was still gentle. It was really hard for him to have acted like this for so many years. I broke free from his hand, and his expression stiffened obviously. General is joking. General's achievements have nothing to do with me. Jonathan John Hawthorne clearly lost face. After all, I didn't appreciate his show of goodwill in front of everyone. He snorted coldly, quickly finished writing the divorce papers/separation agreement, and threw it to me impatiently. Okay, since my affairs had nothing to do with you before, then let's go our separate ways from now on. You wait, in a few days I will publicly welcome Monica into the Hawthorne family. I wanted to go back to my room to pack my things, but the maid ran over and said that Monica Moon had brought people into the room to smash and throw things. When I got to the door, it was indeed a noisy scene. Pieces of expensive porcelain were scattered on the ground, and there were ashes of artwork and clothing in the furnace/fireplace. You've already had a divorce/separation with the general. You're not worthy of entering this room. Leave now. Monica Moon provoked me arrogantly. Jonathan John Hawthorne walked out of the room and naturally put his arm around Monica Moon's waist. This room is going to be our new room. It's really not suitable to leave the old things behind. He was so impatient that he couldn't even wait half a day. I looked at their affectionate appearance indifferently. That's right, I'll leave now. I didn't argue with them, which surprised them. I clapped my hands and called my personal guards. These were all guards who had followed me since I got married, and they were my private soldiers. The personal guard's captain brought my thoroughbred horse. Jonathan John Hawthorne's face was very ugly. He hesitated. It seemed that my decisiveness was completely beyond his expectations. He pointed to a half-burnt chest protector in the furnace/fireplace with feigned surprise. Oh, isn't this the chest protector that Gwen made for me? I didn't even turn my head and let the personal guard's captain help me onto the horse. That was sewn for a dog, throw it away. He grabbed a vase and smashed it on the ground like a madman. Go! Leave now, don't come back. Giddy up! Jonathan John Hawthorne and Monica Moon's voices were getting further and further away. General, it's all my fault. I just wanted to play in the military camp/barracks for a few days. It's all my fault that you two are making such a fuss. I'll go catch up with my sister and explain it to her. Don't pay attention to her. She's been too willful all these years. It's time to discipline her arrogance. Don't worry, I'll go find her in 7 days and she will definitely forgive me and come back. After all, she's still a woman and very soft-hearted. I can coax her back to work for me with just a few sweet words. Heh, too bad, this soft-hearted woman has now awakened. Jonathan John Hawthorne, you will never get my help again. I relaxed for a few days in the interior. It turned out that occasionally leaving the military camp/barracks to get some air was really refreshing. Officers sent letters asking me to return to the camp quickly. They said that Monica Moon was managing the team in a mess and that they hadn't been able to contact the informants we had sent. In a coffee shop, I was drinking with a man dressed as a villager behind a screen. He used tea to mark the code on the table, and I recorded them one by one. I could vaguely hear Monica Moon sitting there with people all afternoon at the next table. Shut up, Gwen Yale has been kicked out, no one is allowed to mention her again. An old subordinate couldn't bear it any longer. If we don't let General Yale come back, does Strategist Moon have the ability to get intelligence? Do you know that the battle here is waiting for this information? Do you know how many lives we will lose if we don't get the information? Monica Moon didn't care. It's not as serious as you said. Besides, I've studied it carefully these days, and I can guess the enemy's defenses. We don't need the informant's information. The subordinate exclaimed, "Don't be ridiculous." Even General Yale never dared to boast like that. If you continue to be so unreasonable, I will definitely let the general punish you. Monica Moon's shrill voice came. The general is still drunk from yesterday and hasn't woken up yet. Whoever dares to disturb the general's rest, I will punish them according to military law. I couldn't hear the voices behind me. But I had been in the military camp/barracks for many years, and I knew the weight of the words military law for every soldier. I heard that after I left, Monica Moon used military law to punish many people as if to vent her anger. Those subordinates who were devoted to serving the country now had to endure Monica Moon's arrogance. I shook my head, summoned my personal guards, and asked him to send a letter to my brother, General Robert Yale Sr., who was 200 miles away from here. On the 7th day, I appeared at the entrance of a motel wearing my most formal clothes. My brother, Robert, had been waiting for me at the door for a long time and carefully pointed to the second room on the left on the second floor. I nodded and was about to go up when I saw Jonathan John Hawthorne and Monica Moon in the lobby on the first floor. Monica Moon noticed me first and kissed Jonathan John Hawthorne provocatively in public. It was indecent in broad daylight. And Jonathan John Hawthorne didn't expect her to be so proactive, and he became interested. His hand went into her clothes without realizing it. He turned his head inadvertently and met my eyes unexpectedly. Jonathan John Hawthorne was stunned, then quickly withdrew his restless hand from Monica Moon's body, straightened his back, and coughed a few times unnaturally. Monica Moon pouted unhappily and looked at me resentfully. She probably thought I was here to cause trouble on purpose. She immediately ran to me in a pretentious manner, crying like a pear blossom in the spring rain. "Miss Yale, the general and I are truly in love. Even if you were his wife, you are now divorced/separated. Can't you just grant us our wish?" Jonathan John Hawthorne was very satisfied with Monica Moon's deep confession of love for him in public and was about to say a few words along with her. But his pupils shrank when he saw my formal attire. He suddenly looked at me with resentment in his eyes. "Why are you dressed so formally today? You never have when you were with me. What, are you here to meet your lover?" He looked up at the rooms upstairs, gnashing his teeth in hatred. "I didn't expect it, Gwen Yale, we've only been divorced/separated for a few days, and you can't wait to find some pretty boy." "Oh, he's calling the Emperor a pretty boy. Very well, I don't plan to expose him. General Hawthorne, since we are already divorced/separated, let's mind our own business and don't interfere with each other." Seeing how indifferent I was, Jonathan John Hawthorne finally couldn't hold back. He walked towards me in 3 steps and grabbed my hand affectionately. "Honey, don't be angry. I told you before that Moon was dying and these days have just been for fun." I shook off his hand with disgust. "Stop pretending. I heard all your whispers with Monica Moon. You're not lending yourself to her for the rest of your life? You disgust me. Jonathan John Hawthorne looked embarrassed. Seeing the look of disgust on my face, he finally couldn't help it. I did this because I was afraid you would make things difficult for Moon. You've always been so strong. If I kept Moon by my side without a title, who knows what you would do to her? Besides, Moon is much more capable than you think. These days, she has not only served me very well, but she has also quickly gotten the hang of the affairs of the military camp/barracks. I mocked without concealment. Is that so? I don't know if she's getting the hang of it quickly or if she's good at deceiving. Has that intelligence been sent to each camp yet? Jonathan John Hawthorne was stunned and looked at Monica Moon questioningly. It was no wonder. I used to be solely responsible for the intelligence, and I even formulated the subsequent battle plans. All I needed was for him to produce the warrant/authority. Monica Moon smiled sweetly at Jonathan John Hawthorne. General, don't worry. I received the intelligence sent by the informant the day before yesterday, and the army/troops have already set off. Then she looked at me provocatively. Miss Yale, you've really put your heart into it, but the general has me by his side, so don't worry about it. Am I so capable? Are you disappointed? Just then, a fast horse galloped over. Jonathan John Hawthorne laughed heartily with satisfaction. See, it must be a report of a great victory. Gwen, it seems you really need to reflect on yourself and re-examine Moon's strength. He waved to the soldier triumphantly. Come, say it loudly. The soldier hesitated, but had to bite the bullet and report. 5 commanding officers are missing. Jonathan John Hawthorne's face turned pale, and he staggered and almost fell to the ground. How could this happen? Didn't we receive the intelligence? He had never bothered with these things when I was in charge. Now that he had just praised Monica Moon in front of everyone, and then such a big problem occurred, the embarrassment, frustration, and anger in his heart could be imagined. He calmed down and asked Monica Moon with an ugly expression, "What exactly is going on?" Monica Moon was also confused at this time, and even complained with justification. I couldn't contact the informant for a long time, and the various army/troops were still waiting to send out troops. I spent a day and a night and finally guessed a few weak points in the defense. How could they be so disappointing? But it's just an encirclement, no one has died. General, don't worry. Maybe they've already broken through. Jonathan John Hawthorne's lips trembled with anger. That's 10,000 lives. Jonathan John Hawthorne had less than 20,000 troops in his hands. If this expedition was unsuccessful, not only would he lose his official position, but he probably wouldn't be able to save his life. Monica Moon couldn't help but roll her eyes. Why are you so angry? It's just 10,000 lives. These people should have expected to die from the day they became soldiers. It's just a matter of time. The general can recruit more people when they're gone. As if it were none of her business, Monica Moon's 2 sentences were so light that she almost angered Jonathan John Hawthorne and the other soldiers to death. She was fearless because of Jonathan John Hawthorne's favor, and she was sure that Jonathan John Hawthorne would not be willing to blame her, so she could naturally sit back and relax. Jonathan John Hawthorne hammered his head hard, estimating that his intestines were now green with regret. Why did he allow Monica Moon to mess around in the military camp/barracks? He probably thought that nothing major could happen in a few days. But he didn't know that this crucial intelligence was during this period. Monica Moon was still complaining incessantly that the soldiers were incompetent, and Jonathan John Hawthorne really couldn't bear it any longer. Shut up! Didn't I say that you have to report every decision you make to me? You even dared to guess intelligence. Why don't you go to heaven? Don't you know your level? Monica Moon looked aggrieved. I'm a deputy general. Don't I have the right to give orders? Then what am I a deputy general for? Besides, haven't I caused trouble before? Didn't you always help me to settle it? It's just one more time, don't get so angry. I was stunned. Some doubts seemed to have been explained. Before, I had requested an army/troops to attack the enemy camp at night. The news was tightly blocked, but in the end, it was discovered by the enemy, and they returned in defeat. Jonathan John Hawthorne took the opportunity to punish me and wanted to kill my deputy in front of everyone as a warning to others. However, my informant was very sure that the deployment that day was foolproof, so how could it have fallen short in the end? Thinking about it this way, Monica Moon was next to me when Jonathan John Hawthorne and I discussed this matter that day. She must have turned around and spread the news as gossip after dinner, which led to the failure of the plan. In the end, I took the initiative to deduct my salary and atone for my crime to save my deputy's life. Jonathan John Hawthorne also complained to the higher-ups, which caused my brother, Robert, to suffer a military defeat, and the entire Yale family army was labeled as declining in strength. We used several victories to appease the higher-ups. It turned out that all of this was thanks to Monica Moon. It turned out that Jonathan John Hawthorne knew that Monica Moon had done it, but he still made me take the blame and suppress the power of my Yale family to the higher-ups. Jonathan John Hawthorne didn't know my thoughts at this moment, but just shook his head helplessly. Forget it, Moon is just a woman. It's commendable that she wants to serve the army/troops. I won't hold it against you. Then he turned to me and said, Gwen, time is of the essence. Come back to the military camp/barracks with me to discuss it and rescue them as soon as possible. I only feel at ease with you. I was wrong before. In my heart, Gwen, no one can replace you. I frowned. He really wanted to pretend that nothing had happened. And Monica Moon was still verbally abusive at this time. General, you're so annoying. I've worked hard even if I haven't made any contributions. What do you mean you're not holding it against me? Hard work and great achievements deserve rewards. Okay, stop making trouble. After this happened, what good things do you still want? I just let you have a taste of officialdom for a few days, I didn't let you put my entire family fortune into it. With that little ink in your stomach, you still want to compare to my wife? Jonathan John Hawthorne criticized Monica Moon, then looked at me affectionately. Honey, take my limo. I snorted coldly. Every time he would praise Monica Moon for her smile, and every time he would praise me for asking me to do things. Every time his sweet words to me were motivated by interests. I used to enjoy this kind of compliment, but now when I heard it again, it only made me feel disgusted. I took a step back and said coldly, General, don't be sentimental. I've been dismissed. How can an outsider participate in military secrets? Jonathan John Hawthorne looked embarrassed and quickly explained. Oh, honey, didn't I tell you before that these days were just a joke? I'll welcome you back in 7 days. Maybe Monica Moon has been a little too much these days. Moon, come quickly and apologize to my wife. We'll let this matter pass. Monica Moon pouted unhappily. I don't want to. I'm a deputy general. Why should I apologize to a woman without a title? Jonathan John Hawthorne finally turned cold. Monica Moon, don't be too presumptuous. Don't you know how you became a deputy general? If the army/troops are wiped out, do you want to be a lone commander? Then, he whispered in Monica Moon's ear, do you still want that 12-jewel headdress? Finally, under the coercion and inducement of the jewelry, Monica Moon reluctantly walked over and bowed her head to me. General Yale, I'm sorry. Is that okay? I was unmoved and just felt cold. Jonathan John Hawthorne was really generous to Monica Moon. My family has been military generals for generations. Although we are not short of money, we would not be extravagant enough to create a 12-jewel headdress. Over the years, I have rarely bought jewelry to dress myself up. The only time, a few years ago when we went to Washington, D.C. To report on our duties, I saw a jade hairpin in a jewelry store. I liked it so much that I bought it with my own money. After he found out, he nagged me for almost a month. You're in the military camp/barracks, where would you have the opportunity to use this jade hairpin? You only care about dressing up, do you still want to do the military camp/barracks affairs? I said at the time that he could rest assured that I would not delay the important matters, but he was still not satisfied. Later, I had someone make a sharp sword and sent it to him, which stopped his mouth. Looking at it this way, his attitude towards Monica Moon and me was worlds apart. I chuckled, and I only saw through this face now. Jonathan John Hawthorne thought that my smile was a relief and wanted to take my hand to leave in a flattering manner. At this time, my brother, Robert, walked in and looked surprised. Sister, why haven't you gone upstairs yet? The master is getting impatient. Jonathan John Hawthorne was happy when he heard this. Oh, so you're not going to see a pretty boy. Your father-in-law is here? He breathed a sigh of relief. Gwen, you're really something, you didn't even explain it to me. Okay, come back with me to handle military affairs first. I'll take you and your father-in-law to apologize later. I frowned and retreated behind my brother, Robert. Who wants to go with you? Clean up your own mess. Jonathan John Hawthorne was angry when he heard this and scolded loudly. Is going upstairs more important than military affairs? Monica Moon has already apologized, what else do you want? Why are you so ignorant of the bigger picture? I was about to laugh out of anger. He condoned Monica Moon and caused the situation today, but instead he blamed me for not seeing the bigger picture. I glared at him, explained it to my brother, Robert, and turned to go upstairs. Seeing that I ignored them, Monica Moon also became angry. Gwen Yale, don't push your luck. What if your brother and your father are here? Edgefield is under the jurisdiction of General Yale Sr. So you better come with us willingly. Seeing Monica Moon's stubbornness rising again, Jonathan John Hawthorne quickly pulled her behind him to calm her down. Then, impatiently and feigning magnanimity, he walked over. All right, you're impossible. How about this, I'll go upstairs with you to see the old man first, and then we'll go back to the military camp. He looked helpless, as if I was forcing him to go upstairs with me. He took my hand and started heading upstairs. I ruthlessly brushed his hand away and mocked, Jonathan_John_Hawthorne, you're the one who removed me from my position, you're the one who issued the divorce papers, I have nothing to do with you anymore, so don't bother me. Jonathan_John_Hawthorne looked embarrassed and whispered in my ear, coaxing me, honey, this is just for show, I already told you about it, why are you taking it seriously? Don't make a fuss, I'll let you do whatever you want when we get back, okay? With that, he gave Monica Moon a look. Monica Moon immediately understood what he meant, and agreed verbally, yes, the general and I are just playing around, he has always put you first in his heart. As she spoke, she seemed to deliberately expose her neck, with dense red marks faintly visible. Every time she spent the night with Jonathan_John_Hawthorne, she couldn't wait for everyone to know. That day at the Sky Blossom Inn, I even heard her deliberately complaining about Jonathan_John_Hawthorne's insatiable appetite. Now this attempt to cover up the truth is just to provoke me. I chuckled, then you are truly pathetic, to be so proud that your own husband puts another woman first? You. After saying that, I ignored the furious Monica Moon and went upstairs on my own. Jonathan_John_Hawthorne didn't give up and tried to grab my sleeve. Before I could get angry, my brother, Robert, couldn't stand it anymore and rushed forward. Hawthorne, are you deaf? My sister told you to get lost. If you keep pestering her, don't blame me for being rude. Jonathan_John_Hawthorne murmured in a daze, Gwen. You weren't like this before. Yes, I used to dutifully play the role of a wife, but now, I just want to be Gwen Yale again. The Emperor, who was traveling incognito, had been waiting upstairs for a long time. He specifically wanted to summon me this time because, thanks to my intelligence, the Yale family army had quelled the border wars that had lasted for 20 years. And Jonathan John Hawthorne's army was surrounded by the Yale family army as an enemy force. This was a lesson the Emperor wanted to teach Jonathan John Hawthorne. The Yale family is indeed a family of loyal patriots, and their women are also so brave and resourceful. It's been a waste of talent to be under Jonathan John Hawthorne for so many years. Having made such a contribution, the Emperor didn't say much about my separation from Jonathan John Hawthorne. As for how the Emperor would deal with Jonathan John Hawthorne, I no longer cared. A few days later, I heard that Jonathan John Hawthorne had been dismissed by the Emperor and was to be escorted to Washington, D.C. to be held accountable. Jonathan John Hawthorne knew that the Yale family army had made a contribution this time and sent people to beg me to intercede with the Emperor. But I refused. I heard that after Jonathan John Hawthorne received the news, he was so angry that he almost smashed the Emperor's gift of expensive porcelain. The Hawthorne's army was not damaged this time, but the soldiers suffered a lot. When they returned to the military camp, they found that the entire army had been marginalized by the Emperor. Some senior officers in the military camp couldn't stand it anymore and came to plead with me in person. Gwen Yale, it's not my place to say, but the Yale family army was also built by you. Now that the Emperor doesn't trust us, you can't just sit back and watch, can you? This is exactly when you are needed. Gwen, you need to consider the bigger picture. I snorted disdainfully. Speaking of which, you all knew about Jonathan John Hawthorne and Monica Moon deceiving me with a 7-day deadline, didn't you? Their eyes flickered, and they remained silent. I knew it. Even though I was the one who had shared life and death with them on the battlefield, even though I was the one who had promoted them, they still didn't hesitate to help Jonathan John Hawthorne hide it from me. Why? Just because I'm a woman? Now, if it weren't for the fact that I was indispensable, they wouldn't have come to me in person. I threw the gifts of reconciliation that they brought from Jonathan John Hawthorne out the door, and they became exasperated. On the day Jonathan John Hawthorne was escorted back to Washington, D.C., I made a special trip to join in the fun. Jonathan John Hawthorne gnashed his teeth in hatred. What good will it do you if the Hawthorne's army falls? I was truly speechless at his shamelessness. Whether it falls or not, it wasn't caused by me alone, so why does it seem like he's blaming me now? The benefits are huge, I said with a smile as I looked at him. It's my honor to remove someone who is incompetent from serving the country. Jonathan John Hawthorne was brave but lacked strategy, and he was arbitrary and willful. For the same merit, he would reward other officers, but when it came to me, it was just a few kind words. He said that I was his wife and that I should have the awareness to lead by example and not seek fame or fortune, so that I could set an example for the soldiers. But Monica Moon, she just danced a few dances, and a lot of gifts were sent to her like flowing water. Jonathan John Hawthorne frowned at this time. Be careful not to overplay your hand. What can you do without me, a woman? I looked at him like he was an idiot. I sighed and decided to let him know the truth before he died. I leaned close to his ear and whispered, after you leave, I will become General Yale guarding this place, do you believe it? As I said that, I took out the Emperor's royal decree. The Emperor didn't mind the Yale family controlling the entire border. He trusted our loyalty and believed in our strength. Seeing this royal decree, all the officers were stunned. Jonathan John Hawthorne also looked incredulous. Impossible! The Emperor would never allow the Yale family to have so much power. Gwen, you're lying to me. You said you would always assist me. I looked helpless. What time is it, and he's still taking what I said in the past seriously? Doesn't he look at how many bad things he's done? Monica Moon rushed out of the crowd, pointed at my nose, and cursed. Gwen Yale, you are a truly vicious woman. You deliberately made the general make mistakes so you could take the credit yourself, just to get to the top. Do you know that the general might die this time he goes to Washington, D.C.? You used to say you loved him with all your heart, but you personally pushed him into the fire. I know, of course I know. I said those words to him with affection back then. But does he really deserve it now? They, this adulterous couple, were the ones who did wrong first, so why should they blame me? The officers couldn't stand Monica Moon's groundless accusations either, and 2 or 3 of them came out and dragged Monica Moon away. It was still those officers who were still helping Jonathan John Hawthorne plead for mercy. General Hawthorne was indeed a bit of a nuisance before, but if General Hawthorne encounters misfortune this time, you will regret it in the future. That's right, it's normal for a man to have multiple wives these days. General Yale, don't take it too seriously. If it really doesn't work out, just send Monica Moon away. Yes, send the person away, and you can pretend nothing happened. Write a letter to plead for mercy, and the Emperor will definitely consider it. I looked at these officers and shook my head secretly. These people not only can't see who's the boss now, but they can also shamelessly speak up for the perpetrator. Jonathan John Hawthorne saw that I lowered my head and didn't speak, and thought that I had listened to these exhortations. He quickly expressed his position. Gwen, I promise this is the last time I've wronged you. As long as you can intercede with the Emperor to save me this time, I will definitely love you alone wholeheartedly from now on. I won't interfere with any decisions you make in the future. I'll also send Monica Moon away. I'll do whatever makes you happy. Monica Moon in the distance had a face full of disappointment. I shook my head. Forget it, the journey to Washington, D.C. is arduous. If you send Monica Moon away, who will take care of you on the road? When you enter jail, who will visit you? After you die, who will collect your corpse? Jonathan John Hawthorne, bon voyage. I smiled slightly and waved goodbye to Jonathan John Hawthorne. I took over the military camp, dismissed those officers with ugly faces, and cultivated a new batch of new forces. Jonathan John Hawthorne returned to Washington, D.C. with a guilty body. Those who he had offended over the years did not let him go and wrote letters to impeach him. The following autumn, Jonathan John Hawthorne was sentenced to exile. I shook my head. He was lucky to have saved his life. The Yale family army, under the leadership of me and my brother Robert, became the #1 army in the empire. More than 10 years later, I went to war in the southern frontier to expand the territory. When passing through the land of exile, a gaunt figure chased after the army, saying that he was an old